Hi guys, and welcome back to the cave. So today a video on the XJR 1300 clutch, specifically the clutch spring. Why do I think I need to change the spring? Well, the symptoms were occasionally, and it wasn't very often, there'd be a clutch slip, and it was just like, I don't know, he inadvertently pulled the clutch lever in and let it go again, and it was a slip like that. It only happened a couple of times, and the first time it happened, I actually did think he somehow had been cack-handed and touched the clutch lever in some way. It did happen a couple of more times after that, not in the same time frame, and it seemed fairly random that it was going to happen. I had a quick look on the internet, and it bore out what I thought it would be, like, you know, it was one spring. So what I did, I waited till I was going to be servicing the bike for this year's riding season. So when I was changing the oil, leave the oil out before I put the oil back in and change the spring at that point. What you'll see in the video is that obviously, as well as checking the spring, I've been through the plates as well. You'll see that we measured them, checked them for tolerances, for thickness and for warpage. The bike's done just over 42,500 miles, so it's getting up there. I've never touched the clutch before, other than when we've replaced the seals on the slave cylinder. You perhaps saw our video in doing that. In the video, when I'm mentioning any specifications, torque, thickness, warp, or measuring them as well, the source of the information for those specifications is a Haynes manual. So let's jump into the video. It's around 15 minutes long. Some of the sequences have been shortened or speeded up just for the sake of it. It'd be boring if you just sat there watching, you know, a number of bolts being taken out. So, catch you on the other side of the video. Let's see how things go. First job, of course, is to remove this cover. So let's step about and do that. Now the way I do it, because it was the way I was taught to do it, is if we undo the bolts or Allen screws diametrically opposed. It was always explained to me that that is best practice. Okay, some people might differ. Whether it makes a great deal of difference, I don't know, but I'm going to stay with it. I have got a new gasket to put back on. We'll put the case back on. Also, there are two locating dowels, one there and one there. They don't seem to want to come out, so we'll just leave those in place. So next stage of the operation is to remove this spring retaining collar, perhaps we'll call it a collar, and again I'll be undoing the bolts in a diametric opposed sequence. We'll then take off the clutch spring. As I mentioned in the intro, I'm kind of putting my money on this being the part that started to fail with fatigue. But obviously, while we've got things apart, we'll have a look at the clutch plates as well. Check the bearing. The loose bearing seems fine, no problem. If we now start taking the plates off, there's actually a friction and a plate there. So what I'm going to do is I'll take them off. I'm just going to slip them on there. The screwdriver's got no significance. It's just that I want to keep all of the plates in the specific order that they came off for when we put it back together. So now with all the plates off, pressure plates and the steel plates, it's over to the bench and we'll check for wear and warpage. So I've got everything back on the bench, got the plates, got a mic and a feeler gauge. I've also got this sheet of glass that'll become self-explanatory very shortly. So I'll work through the plates. On the friction plates we'll be taking a measurement of thickness. On the steel plates we'll be measuring for warpage. The specification on the friction plate is 2.9 to 3.1 millimeter with a service limit of 2.8. So let's have a look. Okay, that's showing. I don't know whether the camera will pick it up, but that's showing 3 millimeters. So we're in limit there. Good. You check another part of the plate, but it's very uncommon for them to be worn just in one place and not another. Yeah, that's well within specification as well. In fact, it's 3 millimeter. Good. So as I said, I'm then going to stack the plates as they've come up from, as we've taken them off the bike. I'm going to stack them in that order. So just checking the plate first for any signs of bluing that had been overheated in some way. Clearly not. So the next thing I'm going to do is check for warpage. This is the reason for the piece of glass. We need as flat a surface as we possibly can. The warpage limit is 0.1 millimeter. We check for warpage by using a feeler gauge. The feeler gauge is at the wear limit, which is quoted in the workshop manual, of 0.14 millimeters. The reason for the glass plate is that's the we need things to be on a flat surface. This is the flattest surface I've got. So if we then gently, so we're not distorting anything or moving anything, try and insert the feeler gauge. So that's the check on this steel plate and that friction plate completed. The rest of the plates, the measurements are in the same manner. I'm not going to film doing all of the plates. That will just take too much time. It'll be boring to watch. But it is all the same. When we've completed those, I'm going to then measure the clutch spring for wear, although I'm going to put a new one anyway. I'm also going to stack these on top of each other in the manner we took them out of the pile. I know I keep repeating that, but that's going to make it a lot easier when we come to put things back on the bike. So let's jump on to the clutch spring itself. New one, old one, irrespective of any measurements here, I am going to be fitting the new one. But for the sake of demonstration, let's go on and measure this. I mean, I think straight away you probably notice there is signs of wear at those, I'm going to call them fingers, can't think of a better term. So let's firstly check for warpage. Pretty much the same as when we're checking the steel plates for warpage, and it's the same service limit of 0.1 millimeter.
yeah, that checks out fine. Then what I'm going to do is actually check for wear or fatigue in the spring. And what we do is actually measure that distance from, in this instance, the glass plate to the area on the finger. And it's important that we measure the wear area and not sort of end up measuring the other parts. The wear service limit is 6mm. Okay, that one's right on 6mm. As is that one. 6mm. 6mm. Okay, so it's pretty much as we thought. It is wear or fatigue in the spring. Again, I mentioned again, the bike's just done slightly over 42,000 miles, so I think that's pretty good. So the thing to do now is start to get everything back on the bike. So the next stage, of course, is to then start putting the plates back. I have checked on all surfaces for any snags or bears or anything. No, there's nothing there. Likewise, the tabs on all the plates, I've checked there and no problem. Already a steel plate in place, so let's go on with the friction plate. Then a steel plate. Friction plate. Last of the steel plates. And then the final friction plate. The thing to note on this friction plate, and how we know we've got them in the right order as well, is that this is thinner. This final plate is thinner. When I say thinner, it's thinner in that section, not in the thickness of the friction material. Then need to refit the pressure plate. Also then the spring seat. On with the new clutch diaphragm spring. And then the retaining collar. Next step is to then tighten the bolts, again using a diametrically opposed pattern or sequence. Now these are really going to be down just very much finger tight, not even that at first. If we do a bit at a time and get everything as even as we possibly can. So the torque wrench is set to 8 Newton meters. Again, a little bit at a time. It's all good, man. So everything should be working fine at this point. The clutch lever feels slightly heavier, but they did say that was a possibility. It's not a Yamaha, it's an aftermarket one, it's EBC, and it did say it might feel a bit heavier, whether it's because there's more tension in the spring or whether it's a new spring. But proof of the pudding, of course, is when we take it for a ride. So next step is to put the gasket back on and then the cover. Some people use a gasket sealant as well. I don't if it's a new gasket that's going on. This is a aftermarket gasket, by the way. Athena brand. I've used Athena a lot in the past, and I found them absolutely fine. The reason being, this was, I think, just under £15, and the Yamaha one was getting on for £38. So again, it's just an economy thing, really. So that's about it for now in terms of changing the clutch spring over. I need to then obviously fill the engine and box with oil and check for leaks, run the engine up, check for leaks, and see how well the clutch works.
So everything went well, no major problems, hit no snags. I still changed the spring out. I think I was always going to be changing the spring anyway. As you saw, I checked the tolerance on the steel plates and the friction plates. Again, all well within tolerance. In fact, the plates were in very good condition. Again, just to repeat, the bike has done 42,000 miles, 42,600 miles to be exact. So it just shows you how good the clutch on an XJR actually is. Then again, I'm not a crazy horse rider. That's it. There's not a great deal else to say on that one. Brief disclaimer. What you saw in the video was how I chose to do it. You may have a better way. Don't do it my way. Do it your way if that's the case. I'd like it if you could subscribe and follow us. The subscription is the Jolly Boy logo. Also, at the end of the video, there's a link that takes you to some other XJR repair or how-to videos we've got in this playlist. So, bye for now, and I hope you enjoy some happy and safe miles.